In mining, we make many decisions every day. Sometimes these decisions lead to successful projects, but sometimes they lead to failures. Why? Often it's not about technical problems with a project, it's about how our brains make decisions. We make numerous decisions daily, ranging from significant ones like hiring new employees to minor ones such as deciding where to go for lunch. These decisions often rely on intuition, information, and other people's perspectives. Cognitive science shows how our brains fall into the trap of making irrational choices. That is, ones that are based on emotion, not on logic or data. These are called cognitive biases, and they can negatively impact our decision making and judgments. There are 4 key biases that affect us in the mining industry. The first one is anchoring effect. This is when we get stuck on the first number we hear. Let me give you an example. If someone says a mine will produce 1 million ounces of gold, we keep thinking about that number, even when new information shows it's much less. There's also courtesy bias. That is when we agree with others just to be polite. For example, when a manager says this is a great project and the team members nod, even if they see problems. There's also something called survivorship bias. That is when we only look at the successful mines and we forget about all those failed ones, because we need to learn both from the success and from the failure. And the last one is IKEA effect. That is when we love our project a little bit too much because we created it. It's like when geologists become too attached to their exploration model and they can't see the problems with it. Some biases affect team decisions more. Courtesy bias and survivorship bias happen most in team meetings and group discussions. And when we're working in teams, we need to be extra careful about these ones. And the anchoring effect and the survivorship bias have the highest influence on our decisions. They can completely change the direction of a project. The IKEA effect and courtesy bias, while important, they usually have less impact on final outcomes. The mining industry is full of stories of failed projects and many more that are seriously underperforming. Our intuition can sometimes mislead us, and that's what makes data crucial for making decisions. However, biases like sample size neglect, where we draw conclusions from insufficient data, can still occur, especially in the mining industry, where data collection can be extremely expensive and challenging to do. An availability bias makes us overestimate the likelihood of recent events. You can think of this like the fear of flying after hearing about a plane crash, despite flying's relative safety. The planning fallacy leads us to underestimate the time needed for tasks, often because we only consider best case scenarios. Recognizing these biases is the first step to mitigating their effects.